The Republicans ran on the deep state. They ran on this idea that somehow the Democrats were the ones who were essaying kids, using baby parts, and all of these ridiculous, nefarious things that they were using, conspiracy theorists and all of that, to win over people's votes, to make them question the Democrats and question the government in general. The Republicans were the ones who used that to their advantage and said that they were going to be the ones to do something about it. When Jeffrey's case came to light and he was arrested again, not mentioning the one that he got away with that sweetheart deal in 2008, the one where he went to jail in 2019, that one. The Republicans tried very hard to emphasize the relationship between Bill Clinton and Jeffrey. They never mentioned anything about Bone Spurs' relationship with Jeffrey. And his relationship was not only longer, but closer. Not only did they have private parties together with just them and other ladies in Mar-a-Lago, which has been documented as a place where Ghislaine Maxwell found Jeffrey's victims, there's also reporting coming out where Bone Spurs would write birthday letters to Jeffrey, pretty much emphasizing the commonality of their relationship, which were women, liking them a little on the younger side. Now, the Republicans didn't say anything about that, but they want you to think they care about the children, about the victims involved, but they don't actually want to prosecute the people who hurt them, at least not their deity. Democrats have been trying for days, weeks at this point, to force Pam Bondi to release whatever files that they have. Pam Bondi claimed that there was no client list, but Democrats are demanding the release to whatever files they have to the public. The same thing that the Republicans ran on in the election. They wanted to release the files to the public to expose all of the billionaire Democrats. Well, Republicans, now's your chance. What happened? You could expose all of those Democrats that you told them were in the list, but now you don't want to do it? The Republicans in the House and the Senate have gone against the Democrats, blocking them on 3 separate occasions when it comes to exposing who is on this list, the list that supposedly no longer exists. Not only that, but Senator Ro Khanna of California tried to introduce an amendment to this genius bill that just passed, and that's going to be a whole nother video, saying that Pam Bondi had to retain, preserve, and compile all of the investigation information that they had on the Jeffrey case, and put it on a website that is publicly accessible. Had that amendment passed, she would have had to do that within 30 days of the genius bill passing. Well, the House Rules Committee voted it down. The House Rules Committee is controlled by Republicans. There was only one Republican, Ralph Norman of South Carolina, that voted with the Democrats to put that amendment in there. The rest of the Republicans voted it down. So it was a 5-7 vote, voting down that amendment. What are you hiding, Republicans? Why don't you want the information out there all of a sudden? Is this not what you ran on? Did you not want to expose the Democrats? Or were you just full of it the entire time, knowing good and well that you could trick your base into thinking that they were getting something that you knew you weren't going to give them? And my question is, why wouldn't you give it to them? The Democrats are asking for it, and you swore out that the Democrats were on the list. Wonder who's really on the list? Self-preservation much? Now, this is a part of the story I think is extremely interesting, because we all know from the 4 indictments before Bone Spurs became president again, that he is the king of delay. The king of any type of delay tactic that he can use to his advantage. Now, he had a chance to delay this whole proceeding, but instead of doing that, he decided that he wanted Pam Bondi to just squash it, come out with this idea that there was no foul play in Jeffrey's demise, and there was no client list to speak of. Even though, as we all know, in February, Pam Bondi said that the client list, specifically speaking about the client list, was sitting on her desk waiting for review. Now, Bone Spurs had a chance to delay this, and we all know that if he gets a chance to delay, he will delay, but not this time. He had a chance to appoint a special prosecutor. Now, this special prosecutor was recommended and advocated for by Steve Bannon, Lauren Boebert, and even Laura Loomer. These people are MAGA sycophants to the max, and they wanted a special prosecutor. They were like, look, just appoint a special prosecutor. They actually think he didn't do anything. They have to, because that would be the only way that he would actually appoint a special prosecutor, because a special prosecutor is way too risky. Because even if it is appointed by his DOJ, the special prosecutor is independent of not only the DOJ, but the White House. They have carte blanche to investigate what they want within the limits that the DOJ sets. However, people want to know about the list and about the unaliving. 2 things in which Bone Spurs may be able to be implicated if the special prosecutor gets his hands on all the evidence, not the doctored footage from Adobe Premiere Pro from 2 separate sources that I did a video on. The special prosecutor would have access to Ghislaine Maxwell and what she knows in that investigation, as well as any files or previous investigation information that they had on Jeffrey to begin with. The special prosecutor would have access to all of those things. Now, the delay tactic would be that the investigation would take years. And during that time, Bone Spurs could just tell the base, hey, they're investigating it. It's just taking a while, but we're going to get them. Those darn radical left Democrats are not going to get away with it. They could do that. And it probably would have been a better political move for them to actually make that happen. However, he would never do that, because if the special prosecutor found something in all of the things that they are investigating, then the special prosecutor would give that information to Congress and could recommend that they impeach and convict over the information found. Now, that is if the investigation finished within Bone Spurs' term. However, more likely, the investigation would conclude after Bone Spurs' term. And there is no guarantee that the Republicans are going to be able to install him for a third term. Oh, they will try, but that is no guarantee. So it's hugely risky. Also, because a lot of the effects of that billionaire's welfare package that they call the Big Beautiful Bill is going to be felt after the midterms and even during the beginning of the next presidency, they were banking on Democrats retaking the House and Senate as well as the White House. So if the prosecutor said impeach and convict, he would be impeached and convicted. At that point, he could be criminally prosecuted. And even if the investigation took to after the presidency, they would just indict him like a normal citizen like they did before. The only difference is they won't take forever this time. And he can't delay indefinitely until he wins the presidency again. And he can't bank on presidential immunity this time because all of those crimes were well before then. At that point, there would be absolutely nothing to save him from his fate. So people who are wondering, why didn't he just appoint a special prosecutor so that he could drag it out and make himself look better when it came to this case? That's why. Because if he were to do that, it is almost guaranteed that he would go to jail because the evidence is more than likely there. And let us not forget, one of the reasons why they had to run that tape through Adobe Premiere Pro from two separate sources is more than likely because Bone Spurs was president on August 10th, 2019. If that orange toddler isn't good at literally anything else, he is a master of self-preservation.